So we are in continuation with proportion, exercise 6b, and today we shall be dealing with mean proportion, isn't it? And as I do so regularly, that I deal specifically with certain sums only. So today we shall be dealing question number 4, 1, 2 and 3. Why? Because they are of the same type. Now, before we proceed, you need, I am not saying you need, you should subscribe to it. Why? Because I am not going to stop, nor I'll let you stop till few years. So my dear, here before we proceed to mean proportion, isn't it? I would like you to recall third proportion, isn't it? Third proportion. And in third proportion, not only third proportion, I would like you to recall also third proportion and continued proportion also, isn't it? Continued proportion. And in third proportion, we studied that when three numbers are in ratio, when two numbers are in ratio, isn't it? Like 16 and 4, and if you need to find a third proportion, isn't it, x, then we apply continued proportion, isn't it? When these three are in proportion and they are in continued proportion, then we say that the ratio of first is to second is in proportion to the ratio of second is to third. Second is to third. Or you can say here 16 is to 4. 16 is to 4 in proportion to 4 is to x. And then finally what we do? We apply the product of extremes, isn't it? Extremes equal to the product of means. This we had done it, and by this process we find the value of x. So here the most interesting thing is that if three of them are in continued proportion, then the ratio of the first and the second should be equal to second is to third. Now this theory is very essential. Why? Because we are going to find the mean proportion. Now before we proceed on to mean proportion again, I would like you to focus on this word mean. What do you mean by this word mean? So it means the middle number. The middle number means if you are asked that find the mean of 4 and 6, for example, find the mean of 4 and 6, then what do we do? We look for a number x over here which lies in between, these two numbers. So how to find the mean of this one? Simple. The middle number will be 5. And how are you going to get this 5? We add both of them, both this number, and divide by 2. So naturally you will get 5. Isn't it? But You are not asked the mean of 4 and 6. You are asked the mean proportion. Mean proportion. So when you are asked mean proportion, this x will exist between this 4 and 6. X will exist, but they will be in proportion. This means now we will apply the same formula which we had applied in the third proportion, that is the ratio of the first and the second. Treat them like numbers, okay? The ratio of the first and second should be in proportion to second and third. That is why I had taught you the third proportion. Okay? Now, let's start with our problems. Okay? And in the first problem, that is number 1, they say find mean proportion, not mean, it is mean proportion. So mean proportion, and they have also used the word between 16 and 4. 16 and 4. So the mean proportion will exist between 16 and 4. So let the mean proportion be x. Let the mean proportion be x. Therefore, we have numbers 16, x and 4. Now, once you have taken the middle number, now you have to apply continued proportion. So when you proportion and when you apply continued proportion, as I said, the ratio of the first and the second, that is 16 is to x, will be proportional to x is to 4. And then finally, what do? You multiply the means and the extremes. So here x into x will be equal to 16 into 4. X times x is equal to x square is equal to 64. Now, when you find the value of x, the square will move on to that side and this square will get converted to root. So root 64, and root 64 is equal to how much? 8. Root 64 is equal to 8, or square root of 64 is equal to 8. You should have to learn square root from at least 1 to 20. You know 1 to 10? Yes, you need to focus on few numbers more, isn't it? Now, in number 2, what we have? Find mean proportion. Find mean proportion again between 3 and 27. Therefore, we will be continuing in the same way, that the mean proportion, the value will lie in between, and then we shall apply continued proportion. So when you apply continued proportion, the ratio of the first and the second will be in proportion to the second and the third. Therefore, once again, x times x, these are the means and these are the extremes. So the product of means, isn't it? Product of means is equal to product of extremes. Now x times x is equal to x square. Similarly, 3 into 27 is equal to 81. So I am going to write here beautifully x square, so that you focus on these numbers, is equal to 81. Now when I find the value of x, so when we find the value of x, so x will be equal to, this square will move onto that side and will become root 81, and the square root of 81 is equal to 9. So we got the value of x is equal to 9. Now similarly, in number 3, what we have, find the mean. This time what they have done, they have given you decimal numbers. So find the mean proportion between 0.9 and 2.5 and 2.5. So similarly, we will be applying the continued proportion, and we know proportion, I repeat so many times that till now you all have learnt it. So when you apply continued proportion, then the same thing, the ratio of the first and the second will be in proportion to second and the third, 2.5. And then we apply the product of means is equal to the product of extremes. So product of means, x square will be equal to 0.9 into 2.5. So here x will be equal to square root of 0.9 into 2.5 is equal to the square root of 0.9 can be written as 9 by 10, and 25 by 2.5 can be written as 25 by 10. Now let's multiply and solve it. So the value of x will be equal to square root of 9 times 25. It will be equal to 225 by 100 is equal to square root of 225 is equal to 15, and square root of 100 is equal to 10. So the value of x will be equal to 15 by 10. If you forget to find out the square root, you can use the division method. Which method? Division method. Like 2 to 5. The square root of 2 to 5 will be, now first we group it in twos, or we pair it from back. So this is the first pair, this is left alone. So when this 2 is left alone, naturally we will take a number and multiply by the same number. So 1 times 1 is equal to 1. After you multiply, you need to write the value over here. So 1 times 1 is equal to 1. Now this 1 we add it over here. So we get 2 over here. And then on subtraction, what do we get? When we subtract, we get 1 over here. Since we have taken in group, therefore this 25 will come at once. Next we have to keep a number over here such that when we multiply this 25 by the same number, we should get this number. So I found that if I take 5 over here and multiply both of them by 5, I will get 125, and this 5 should be written over here. So you saw that how by division method I got the value of square root of 225 as 15. So here square root is also very important. Now in number 4, what we have, find the mean proportion between, isn't it, mean proportion between 0.6 and 9.6. So naturally we'll have a number x over here, and after we take a number x in between 0.6 and 9.6, we apply continued proportion. So when proportion, so in continued proportion, the ratio of the first and the second, that is 0.6 and x, it should be in proportion to second and the third 9.6. So when we multiply the means, we get x square will be equal to product of extremes 0.6 and 9.6. Therefore the value of x will be equal to, this square moves on to the right hand side and it becomes a root. Therefore 0.6 into 9.6, which on solving, the value of x on solving will be equal to the square root of 6 by 10 into 96 by 10. Let's see, the square root is still lingering. 6 into 96 will be equal to 576 by 100. So the square root of 576 will be equal to 24, and the square root of 100 will be equal to 10. So x is equal to 24 by 10 or 2.4. Now once again, if you forget or if you do not know how to find the value of 5 square root of 576 by any other method, use division method. 576, and here we are going to find out the square root. So what we do, we group it from back in twos, isn't it? We group it in twos. So I have grouped 76 and then 5 remains. So I will select a number so that if I multiply with the same number, I'll get a number which is 5 or less than 5. So 2 times 4. You cannot take 3 times 9. Neither you can take 2 into 3, because I said you have to take a number here and multiply with the same number. Now let's subtract. So on subtraction I'll get 1, and this 76 will come down. So I got 176. This 2 should be added over here. This entire area should be only for addition. So 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Now 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, and I have to select a number over here such that if I multiply it by the same number, isn't it? If I multiply it by the same number, I should get 176. So I have kept 4 over here. Let's multiply. 4 times 16. 4 times 16, 117. So here this space should only be left for addition. 4 plus 4, 8 plus 4. Again we shall keep on continuing, isn't it? Here we got nothing. This is our answer, 24. Okay. The last one, number 5, isn't it, is very important. Number 5 is very important. Why? Because they have given you the same sum to find out the mean proportion, but they, instead of numbers, they have given you fractions, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so though I said is very important, if you know the process, nothing is impossible. Come on, let's do it. Therefore 1 by 4, the ratio of first and the second should be in proportion to second and the third. Let's multiply these two. So x square will be equal to the product of extremes, 1 by 4 into 1 by 16. Therefore x square will be equal to how much? 1 by 16 fours are 64. I think this was quite easy. So x square is equal to 1 by 64. The value of x will be equal to 1 by 64 square root. Square root of 1 by 64 is square root of 1 is equal to 1 and square root of 64 is equal to 8. Therefore we got the value of x is equal to 1 by 8. Once again, for regular updates, isn't it? You are regular updates, you are requested to subscribe, isn't it? So that you do not miss any of the lectures. Bye.